Hello class, hope you're all doing well here. In this video, I'm going to explain correlation plots very simply. I'm taking 4 people here, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I've got different activities that they performed recently, and I have a variable here which we'll call our dependent variable, is hungry. 1 equals yes, 0 equals no. So we're gonna, predict in a later model, not in this model, but let's just assume we're in data mining class and we're predicting whether, these variables have some sort of weight. Well, in this data set, we're just gonna look at a statistical correlation. We're not gonna run the linear regression model. We're not gonna do any of that stuff. We're just looking for the very basic correlation. Okay, basic stuff you learn in stats class. Very simple to do in Excel. So we're going to go ahead here and do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is put in walleye, or I'm going to concatenate this. This is the easiest way to do this. You can do it any way you want, but I'm just going to concatenate this sucker so that it's a lot easier for me to do. Now, it just so happens this technique is going to be very similar. And instead of that, I'm going to put in a col in there. It doesn't have to be too glamorous, but I just want to make sure that we have an idea of what we're tracking here. So I'm going to freeze H1, which will be a common theme here in a minute. I'm going to freeze H1 there so I can drag this across. And you see here, we'll expand this window. Actually, what I'll do is I'll do wrap text here so we can still see it all in one row. So walleye caught to is hungry, bread eaten to is hungry, water drank to is hungry, etc. Again, you can do this multiple ways. I'm just choosing to do one specific way in this video. So now we're going to run that correlation function, C-O-R-R-E-L, from that CAM textbook, very classic formula here. We're going to grab this column here, but we only want the data. Do not grab the whole column, do not grab the title, just grab the data within that. Now we're going to then hit a comma so that we get the second array, which is these 4 numbers in here, is hungry. So we hit enter and we get a negative 0.418. Okay, before we go a step further, I want to freeze the data in H because we're going to drag this thing across and I don't want to lose the column reference here. We're going to keep the same 2, so all we have to do is absolute cell reference the H. Okay, so while I'm at it, I'm just going to drop this down to 2 digits there, drag across, and we should be good to go here. Always double check your formulas. You will get some goofy results from time to time. So there you go. Now in this data set, what we're saying here is 0.42 to the negative, negative 0.28, positive 0.43, negative 1, and negative 1. Now keep in mind that this data set is very limited, not only in variables, but in observations as well. So this was just an example of how to use the correlation function in Excel, knowing that you've got a lot of stuff to look at. So another thing that you can do here is you can go ahead and correlate these variables to each other to see if there's a relationship between those variables. In this example, all we did here was correlated to the dependent variable, or is hungry, but the same process can be done for all of these variables over here. So you could do walleye to caught, walleye to water drank, walleye to exercised, walleye to exercise today. We would call those correlation plotting as well, in the sense that that's exactly what we're doing here. We're trying to figure out if there's a relationship between the variables, because in data mining class, if you're one that's going to be going to data mining, we call that multicollinearity. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. Now, if you have a homework assignment for correlation plots, it's completely acceptable to do all of this and to learn from it. It's a very challenging assignment, but it is also so simple once you get the hang of it. You see here how we have is hungry all the way across? Well, what we can do here is we can put exercised today. So let's just go ahead here. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to grab this formula up here. Just go down here, double click, and instead of is hungry, I'm just going to go with bread eaten. But this time, well, one thing I could do is I could switch these around so that I have the absolute cell reference on B1 this time, and then I have C1 being referenced there, and you can see what happens here if I did this correctly, which we are going to want to wrap text on this as well. So bread eaten to walleye caught, water, all the way across here. Now, this doesn't make much sense because we ran out of variables over here, so we're just going to cut that one. And that's what you're going to find is you're not going to have as many variables because you've already did one. And you can't do one against itself. So you can't do walleye to walleye caught. So now what we'll do is we'll do that correlation function here with, I'll do walleye caught to bread eaten and absolute cell reference, the B, because we want that to stay the same, and then we float across. Just double check that you're still referencing the good stuff there. Absolutely. And awesome. Again, we will do this to the second decimal and then keep going here. So basically what this is saying is the more bread you eat, the less walleye you catch. Okay? Or vice versa. There's a negative relationship. The more walleye you catch, the less bread you eat. So we want to make sure we understand that relationship. So we can go ahead here and do the same thing, just keep going down. And this time, we're going to go up here to bread eaten, but this time we're going to move it over. And since we already have a bread eaten to walleye, we don't need to do that again. That's why I'm skipping over walleye caught this time. And this time we're just going to study the breads eaten. Now again, look what happens here. So my whole point is as you keep going down these plot lines, you should have less variables because A, we've already done the pregnancy. Is hungry. Sorry, pregnancy is a different model. But we've already done the walleye one here, so we don't need to do that one. But the same process, just continues down the line, and before long you have all of the correlations plotted out that you could possibly want. Okay? But I always start with the one that's the dependent variable, the thing we're going to try to predict for, because that's really what correlation is about, is we care about the things that are going to be the most cared about or sought after. So let's just finish this off here just for good measure. So we'll go and correlate the bread eaten to the water drank, and we will absolute cell reference this again. And by this time, some of you might be seeing a pattern with what we're doing, and you might be like, hey, I don't have to keep doing this manually. Great, wonderful. That means you're learning. It's awesome. Okay, so now we got that done. Now we do water. So we just keep going down the line. So now we're going to do water drank to exercise yesterday, and today. So you just keep going down your line here, and you certainly, again, I'm going to steal this thing here because why reinvent the wheel if you don't have to? So we're just going to go up there, and we're going to just keep moving these things. Go away, go away. Stop these scripts. I don't want you. Go away. Okay. Okay, and there we go. And we'll drag across here, and we'll wrap these again. And this one's empty. And there we go. So now we're going to correlate these guys again. So correlate water drank to exercise today. And we'll go a little faster. We'll keep that one there. Drag this over. Wonderful. There we go. Hold that up for data ink ratio, which we'll be talking about in our class later, if not already. And now we'll have one left. We will have one left for us to work on. I mean, I don't even have to go up anymore. I could just say, okay, what do I have left here? I got to go to E, and I got to go to F. Okay, there we go. And we'll just correlate this thing again. A lot of CO functions in Excel. And we will go with this and this. And I don't even need the absolute cell reference this anymore because I already know that that's the less variable I'll be calculating. Now, if you want to do a good measure here, make sure you do these here as well. Okay, so they correlate 100% because in both scenarios they are equal to each other. So that's how you do correlation plots. And the thing that we discover the most here is we want to look at the variables that have the most strength. In this example, again, it's flawed because we only have 4, not a lot of differentiation. Obviously, those have the strongest link because remember, it's about distance from 0, positive or negative. This one's really interesting to me is bread eaten to walleye caught. Maybe the person that's doing all the fishing doesn't have enough time to eat bread, or maybe there wasn't enough bread left over for them to eat, etc. So, that's how you look at these things. And in fact, there we go. John with 19, well surpassing everyone else. He eats the least amount of bread at half a loaf compared to the walleye caught. Now, one could argue maybe he doesn't like bread. Maybe he is diabetic. Maybe he's against carbohydrates. And maybe we could argue that there's a variable in here that we should be thinking about or asking the 4 gentlemen here about. Maybe our data set is incomplete in terms of columns. We don't know that for sure. Maybe because look at this. There's the beautiful point here is John caught 19 walleye. It doesn't say that he ate those walleye. It just says that he caught them. Luke caught 1, but he ate 4, yet he's still hungry. Okay? Or not hungry, sorry, he's not hungry. So, but yet the people that caught a meager amount, ate a meager amount of bread, and did not exercise are hungry. That is fascinating. Because you think if you exercise a lot, you're going to be hungry. Well, they exercised a lot, but they're not hungry. They drank the same amount of water, even relative to Mark. So we have to ask ourselves as an analyst, what is so different about this? What is so different about these columns here related to this? Because this defied our expectation. You would think, oh boy, I exercised a lot yesterday and today, and boy, I'm bushed, I'm so hungry, I need food, I need water, all that kind of stuff. When in reality, they didn't eat that much. And we don't know for sure if the word caught there also means eat. That was me putting that in there to trick you a little bit, make you think critically and creatively. So hopefully this was helpful. This is considered a bonus video in the data analytics class and a review video for those in data mining.